Welcome to Afternoon Express. Now, there's a lot of talk these days around the concept of self-love. It sounds great, but what does self-love actually mean? How do we love ourselves and why does it matter? Today, we're joined by registered counsellor Sadia Southgate, who will help me, along with Pali, unravel the notion and the significance of self-love. Sadia, what does that actually mean?
Yeah, I think that concept in itself is like self-love, like, whoa, like it's yes. A lot within itself. But, you know, it's the acceptance and appreciation for oneself and the positive regard that we have for oneself. You know, there's a lot of aspects that we can look at when it comes to self-love because it's quite broad. But it's essentially just accepting both your strengths and your weaknesses and not just focusing on your weaknesses, but literally just overall accepting yourself for who you are despite behaviors, faults, and even for your strengths again, as I said. So essentially that's what it comes down to. It's just appreciation and positive regard for yourself.
Yes, I love the concept of unconditional positive regard. So you accept who you are, the strengths and the weaknesses.
The good, bad, and the ugly.
Exactly. I see you shaking your head there. How's the journey of self-love been for you, Pali?
I am my worst enemy. I call myself my most toughest critic. I'm the kind of person who reflects a lot. How can I do that better? Why did I do that? Why did I say that? Why did I behave in that way?
Yes.
How can I show up better? And I think so many times I end up disregarding the positive aspects, as you've spoken about, what I did do right, and focus on the negative. But now I'm getting into a space where I'm reaffirming myself, self-affirmations, being able to visualize the best possible version of Pali, how she shows up in the world, how she shows up for herself, and I'm trying to implement all of those things that I learned. But for me, it's definitely been a journey.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be a journey for the rest of our lives, isn't it, Sadia?
Definitely. It's something that, you know, we're always evolving and we're always growing. And I will say there's absolutely nothing wrong, you know, with being a self-critic because sometimes we do need it. But I think the difference is just being self-aware. So with the self-love, it's about being self-aware. You're calling yourself at, okay, but this is something that I need improvement on. So it's not even necessarily seeing it as a weakness. It's seeing that, okay, this is an area of growth. I'm not dismissing this behavior, but how can I change this behavior?
A place of improvement. But ladies, another thing that we kind of see time and time again, and something that gets misconstrued is self-love versus narcissism. A lot of people confuse the two. So is there a difference, and what is that difference?
So, you know, I would say that, first of all, narcissistic behavior, it's important that this be diagnosed by a professional. I find that in today's day and age, especially on social media, everyone's a narcissist. So that's important. A narcissist is, and Sadia, correct me if I'm wrong, it's the whole world revolves around you. Everything's from your point of view, and it almost lacks a sense of empathy and compassion. Self-love, to me, when I think about self-love, I often think about the aeroplane oxygen analogy. If you are on a flight, you always hear, in the event that there is something that happens, the oxygen masks are going to drop, you put the oxygen mask on yourself first before you put it onto someone else. For me, that's self-love. If you are not okay first, and you're not loving yourself first, and you're not giving to yourself first, and you're not filling your cup first, you've got nothing to give.
The analogy that I'm thinking of when it comes to narcissism and self-love, it's like the narcissistic person will say, I'm superior and you inferior. And then the self-worth person says, I'm worthy, you are worthy.
Oh, absolutely. That's unconditional positive regard. So how do we, give me the steps that we can assist our viewers with if you do struggle? As Pali was saying, this is a journey. If you do struggle with that self-love aspect.
That's a very good question because a lot of the times it looks different for everybody. As you were saying, you know, you're bigger self-critic, but if it's a friend that's doing it, how would you speak to them? So it's kind of looking at in that aspect is, if a friend was sitting here, what would I say to them? And how can I actually say that to myself as well? And the analogy or something that I'm thinking of as well is, you know, when it comes to different seasons in our lives, if there's a store, you walk into a store and there's an end of season sale. You know, you're going to go into it, but those are discounted things because of the change of season. So the advice or guidance and suggestion that I have is that we are all going through that change of season. The difference is a lot of us actually actually display discounted versions of ourselves. So it's important that we look at that and just look at this, even though there's a discounted version of ourselves, is do that, like check in with ourselves, be self-aware and say, this is just a change of season, and because of that, I'm embracing this change of season. What does self-love look like for me? Like not just what does it look like, what does it sound like?
Yes.
What does it feel like? And one thing that I love to practice in sessions as well when it comes to self-love and self-esteem is literally like just placing my hand on my chest and saying, what do I feel? Because a lot of us don't connect with ourselves. For example, putting lotion on our hands. We just do it, but how can I actually connect with myself, feel myself, and hear myself? So that's just practical tools that I'd love to give.
I would actually like to practice that and put that into my life, because a lot of the time I do find myself giving a discounted version of myself to the ones I love. But more importantly, I do give a discounted version to myself.
Yes.
I'm forever traveling, I'm forever up and down, and with the job that we have, and I'm sure that you can also relate, we're always giving and giving out energy, but how do you replenish that? So I'm definitely going to take that.
And I do this myself, so I'm by no means perfect. Is the fact that I fill up everybody else's cup while I'm running on empty.
Yes.
And I give myself what is left of it. And sometimes when I look back and I'm like, wait, there's nothing left anymore. And that's the introspection that I need to constantly do, is like, what am I giving to others and what am I giving myself? Because I can't give something that I don't have.
Yes.
So if I don't have self-love, I can't give that.
Yes, hence fill your cup up first. Thank you so much, Pali, and thank you so much, Saudia. Remember, self-love is a journey and it is a concept that evolves over time. On social media, we'd like to know from you. Tell us 3 things that you love about yourself. So hop on over and let us know, and remember to use the hashtag Afternoon Express.